So you're checking out Diablo 4 for the first time. Maybe it's the first time you've ever tried out the series. Well, that makes two of us because I had never played a Diablo game until now, and I seriously cannot get enough of it. The thing is, it's a pretty dense ARPG, and there are some things that I wish I knew before diving into it. With that said, my name is Aiden, this is Push Square, and here are 10 tips for beginners that I wish I knew before playing Diablo 4. Pick World Tier 2. So to start off, I picked World Tier 1 because this is my first ARPG. I was a little nervous about making things too difficult, but after around 10 hours or so on World Tier 1 with next to no deaths, I decided to bump things up to level 2. Not only did this make it a far more rewarding gameplay experience, but you're also getting your hands on additional gold and XP, meaning that across your entire campaign playthrough, you're going to be missing out on a lot of leveling up potential if you're sticking with Tier 1. The thing is too, is that from either the town or the character selector menu, you can change this back up or down if you're finding a boss too difficult or maybe some enemies too easy. There's no consequences swapping back and forth, so you really should utilise this feature. Portals are your best friends. With a quick tap of down on the D-pad, you will be transported to the main town of the region you are in. Obviously, this can save you some unneeded travelling, but this is an incredibly useful tool. Let's say your inventory is full, but there's a bunch of gear just sitting there ready for the taking. You can open up a portal, head to the nearest town, sell or salvage your unneeded gear, and then jump back into the portal to pick up the rest of the stuff you missed. And what's even better is that if you're playing in co-op, a portal for each member of your squad will appear in the town square, allowing you to immediately transport yourself to their exact location. My party would quite often use this as a way for one of us to go back to the town to sort out some inventory stuff while the other was heading to the next mission or dungeon. And then once the one in the town was done with everything, they could just teleport to their exact location. It's a great feature if you're using it right and saves you a ton of time just chasing after your friends. Okay, so next up, you want to be keeping an eye on your region progress. For the most part, this feature is passively filled as you work your way through all the content each region has to offer. But this region progression has some really handy rewards, especially in its second tier unlocks. In each region, you can unlock an additional potion slot, which will be applied to all characters as well, with each activity giving a different amount of renown points. In the early game, you should be having a look at your progression meter and deciding if you need to do one more dungeon or find another altar of Lilith. Push on for some additional healing capabilities, as well as other perks like additional gold, XP and skill points. Dismantle your gear instead of selling it. It's very tempting to just sell all of your unwanted gear to clear up that inventory space and get a big pile of cash quickly. But to be honest, I found cash quite easy to come by anyway from either fallen enemies or hidden caches, especially if you're playing in World Tier 2. It's much more worth your time dismantling your gear, which you can do at the blacksmith of each town. This will give you crucial materials which will be incredibly valuable for the endgame as you turn more towards upgrading your weapons and gear. Now this one might be specific to newer players of ARPGs like myself, but don't spend your skill points with no thought. This isn't a game where you can unlock every single skill, and you can only ever have 6 equipped at any one time anyway. You are much better looking towards your passive skills, which are dotted here or there around the skill tree, and funneling points into the skills you actually intend on using. Of course, allow yourself a degree of experimentation, but don't just fully upgrade a skill that you want to try out because you've got the points sitting there. If you are grinding away through side quests, which for the most part are incredibly easy, then make sure you're picking them up all at the same time in any town. You'll see side quest icons littered all over the place, and rather than picking up one, doing that, heading back to claim the reward, picking up another, heading back again, just scoop them all up at the same time and you'll be able to do one after the other, and if you're required to go back to the town, then you're more likely to have a few to cash in. It saves you backtracking and speeds up the XP earning process. Before running dungeons, have a look at the aspect that it is rewarding. While it will never really be a waste of time if you are eventually planning on playing multiple characters, dungeons will sometimes offer rewards that aren't compatible with the class you're currently playing. Just hover over the dungeons to have a look, and then decide whether it's worth you running that particular dungeon. It also means that you can cherry pick the ones that are especially worthwhile for your intended class. Don't worry too much about your level if you want to just enjoy the campaign. This isn't the kind of RPG that level gates you if you haven't been running enough side content, at least concerning its missions. If you want to play through the story of Diablo 4, you can do just that, ignoring all other side content. Levels will scale to whichever level you are currently playing at. Now of course it's going to be worth some level of grinding to get your build to the state that you want it at, but there's no harm in rushing the campaign either. To further this even more, you don't have to complete the campaign more than once. Once you've completed the campaign on one character, you've technically completed it on all of them, if that's how you want it. It just means that, at least in my mind, it's worth running through the campaign on one character until it's completed before picking up a second. It saves you having to work through the same missions over and over and over again. Especially if you're focusing on your region progression, it means that when you start your second, third, fourth or fifth character, they are starting with an immediate advantage and can get right into the good stuff. Don't focus too much on the green numbers when leveling up your gear. It's tempting to keep things simple when it comes to leveling up to better gear and focus on those green or red numbers indicating whether they are better or worse. Once you start to get into the later game though, the lines on what is better begin to blur. You may have one piece of gear that's better numbers wise, but you're currently rocking a piece of gear with some incredibly beneficial stat bonuses. It means that you have to be a bit more deliberate when deciding what to switch to. There is also the option of upgrading your gear, but I would be hesitant to go wild with it because you may be wasting materials that you'll need later on. And those are the 10 things I wish I knew before playing Diablo 4. Let me know how you've been getting on with Blizzard's latest ARPG down in the comments, and while you're there, why not throw us a wee like and maybe even subscribe to the channel for more PlayStation video content. Thank you everyone for watching, I've been Aaron, and I'll catch you in the next one.